Now, China has once again called on the United States to stop using the Hong Kong issue to interfere in its domestic affairs. Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian says that Beijing is firmly opposed to any remarks by Washington that disregard facts. He was reacting to a statement from the U.S. Embassy in Beijing that called for the release of a dozen Hong Kongers on trial in the city of Shenzhen. The statement said that their crime was to, quote, flee tyranny. Hong Kong has become another contentious issue between China and the U.S., whose relations were already strained over trade, Taiwan, and the South China Sea, among others. Washington has imposed sanctions on several current and former Hong Kong officials over security law. China has long blamed the U.S. for stoking tensions in Hong Kong by siding with anti-government protesters there. Now we'll have a couple of people joining me to discuss it a little bit. Our own correspondent in Beijing, Stephen Ribe, and also Fabrizio Goldoni, who's an analyst and commentator joining us out of Hong Kong. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Let's go to Beijing first. Stephen, this is going on, another move by the U.S., and then regarding this release of these Hong Kongers, and then we have China again emphasizing this is interference in its internal affairs. Tell us more about it.
Well, we've heard what Western politicians are saying. They're saying this is a betrayal of the one country, two systems agreement made over Hong Kong, and political repression that violates human rights or those seeking to flee tyranny. I think a more nuanced interpretation is that Hong Kong's own older laws are now being aggressively enforced with the aim of pursuing the spirit and intention of the new national security law. The case of the 12 being tried in Shenzhen is a little bit different because it's actually Chinese law being applied. They are being prosecuted for illegally crossing a border or facilitating this crime being committed by other people. Right, okay, I'm from Beijing, so I can give you the view from here, as opposed to what the Western media is saying. I was in the foreign ministry recently, and they said of the CIA and its proxies, or just America in general, they will never give up. They will wait for years or decades until your guard is down and there is a chink in your armor, and then they will pursue their agenda of subversion. As China sees it, the US is very good at playing a double game. You see, what it does is it funds subversive groups, in the case of Hong Kong, the National Endowment for Democracy or Joshua Wong, or whomever. And if those groups succeed with American help, your government is undermined, maybe it even collapses. But if you crack down, yeah, they will also succeed, because then they will be able to label you as tyrannical oppressors, and they will seek to mobilize international, or at least domestic opinion, for hostile action, for a hostile agenda against you. And of course, the Western media obediently joins in. They don't take a nuanced look at what's going on here. They just join in the politicians' chorus that, you know, there are freedom lovers seeking to flee tyranny, right?
Okay.
You see, what's going on now is that China is deeply suspicious. Yeah, it's deep. This suspicion of China is getting more and more paranoid, to be quite frank. That America is now pursuing an out-and-out hostile, subversive agenda against it. And one pawn, a new pawn in this game that America is playing to undermine, to bring China down, is Hong Kong. I think two groups will suffer as a result of this. One, I think, is the well-intentioned political activists. Yeah, there are many in Hong Kong seeking to preserve Hong Kong's guaranteed freedoms. China sees them as useful idiots. It sees them as unwitting foot soldiers in America's subversive agenda. The other, so it will crack down on them, which is what we're seeing, which is a deep shame, because I think there are many Hong Kongers who really are well-intentioned. I mean, you know, Joshua Wong, for example, his motives are questionable. He's been to America. He's met with the hawkish American senators, including Tom Cotton and Ted Cruz. But I think opposed to him, there are some Hong Kongers who are very well-intentioned, and they are going to be victims. The other group of victims is going to be journalists. I think a lot of them are well-intentioned too. But in my opinion, actually, I would say 90% of journalists in China now don't understand China, and they don't understand its concerns here. They believe the propaganda, basically, that
Right.
they're there to further. They will be cracked down on. China will increasingly see them as agents of the US, there to mobilize global or at least domestic public opinion against them to carry out this hostile agenda. So it's just going to get worse and worse because China's just seeing journalists paranoid. It thinks that all Western journalists are out to get it now. And people like me, it's going to be harder and harder for us to do because they're deeply suspicious of foreign journalists now.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, let's go to Hong Kong. Fabrizio, this has been going on. I mean, tense relations and threatening each other, and China promising to reciprocate U.S. action has been going on over a host of issues, major ones being Taiwan, South China Sea, military maneuvers there, sale of arms to Taiwan, yes. Hong Kong issue, trade dispute, and you name it. So do you expect any change for the better or for worse under a new administration at the White House soon?
I can say is my opinion is quite difficult to comment because if we take in consideration the plan Pivot to Asia started many years ago under the democratic the democratic rule is not something that has been introduced in the last 4 years of a Trump administration. So I do see something that is coming from far away. And if I can say something about what's happening now about these 12 people, I can see that basically the Western media tell very little about this story. Actually, they don't specify that these people were in basically in China water. Basically, they have been charged for illegal immigration. That is just a 1 year charge. But 2 of them, they are charged for organizing the trip. And we know. And we want to understand which organization is behind and who is going to finance this continuously help to people to escape and to jump the bail. The case is quite big because these people actually were in the court. They have been granted the bail and they jump in the bail and they escape. So it's not small things, I want to add another thing, so that
sure.
If you put in perspective, this is not an isolated case. Just the 2nd of December, there were 155 lawmakers, mostly from US, Britain, Germany, and Japan, asking for international call with several points for saving these people and these kind of things. Not only this one. In these days, there are representatives from Britain, France, Australia, Germany, Netherlands that are physically in Yantian, okay, where the people court, is there for celebrating the process. And they are like I say, demonstrating outside, in a form of an interference that, in my opinion, is reaching the level of that is quite ridiculous, quite absurd.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments, Stephen Ribe, our correspondent, joined me from Beijing, and Fabrizio Goldoni, analyst and commentator from Hong Kong. And that's the end of this news review.